AVGN the movie. How do I explain an independent movie made by a YouTuber that I am really inspired by to you guys? Now, if you've been a part of YouTube, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. And if you haven't been a part of YouTube, well, you're probably wondering, what the heck does AVGN mean? It stands for the Angry Video Game Nerd. Now, this guy who made the Angry Video Game Nerd movie has a web series known as the Angry Video Game Nerd. Now, the Angry Video Game Nerd is pretty much a guy who sits on his couch, reviews old video games, and beats up characters. Well, I wish he'd beat up more characters, but mainly like Bugs Bunny. And he reviews games from people older than me, their childhood pretty much. And now, as I've gotten older and he's gotten older, games from more of my childhood. James Rolfe is the guy who came up with the Angry Video Game Nerd. Back in 2006, he posted up his first video, and it literally became an internet sensation. He wasn't even sure if the views were real at first because he didn't believe how many people actually took a look at his video. And at the time, it was very easy to get out there, and which is good for him. The reason why I look up to James Rolfe so much is because when he was a kid, he didn't have fancy cameras, he didn't have a computer to edit on, he didn't even have a bunch of people to help him with it. His friends would bail on a lot of his projects, and it wasn't until he was making one by himself, all by himself, that he was able to get some of his friends back to finish the project. And that's amazing. And it's very inspiring. And one of his college mates, I'm not sure if they're his friend or not, made a little short film called James Rolfe, A No Budget Dream. And that really speaks to me on a lot of levels. What do you do if you don't have a budget? What do you do if you don't have the crew, but you really want to get out there and show people your art, your creativity, your mind? Film is a way of looking into another person's mind and showing them to each other visually. Maybe that's not the best way of wording it, but film is an art. And there are so many art forms out there. And it's very, very hard for low budget independent filmmakers that are just starting out to get their name out there, to get themselves heard, to get the experience they need to keep making better work, and for people to enjoy it. James Rolfe is a guy who was able to do just that. He started his own company called Cinemassacre. He kept making videos, he kept getting out there, and he kept pursuing and going until he decided to open up a FundMe page from like Indiegogo and was able to make this movie. Now, this movie, he started filming in 2012, and he finished production in the middle of 2014, and he finally showed it to all of his fans late 2014. And I wasn't able to go to the theaters, which would have been really cool to see it with like like a whole live audience, because it's a movie I've been looking forward to for years. But what's nice about the Blu-ray version, well, not the Blu-ray version, but the Blu-ray, if you're able to get your hands on it, is that he has the live reactions from the crowd at the movie theater, and also just the actual cut of the movie. So you can actually sit there and feel like you're a part of that movie theater. Hopefully you got the room to kind of compensate. If not, throw on your computer and turn off the lights. It's good enough. I mean, that's what I did. And it's nice. It's like I'm sitting in the theater with people, and that's pretty exciting. And let's kind of go into the plot of the movie, because I do get carried away with giving you guys history. I'm sure a lot of you already know about James Rolfe. He's one of the guys I look up to the most, other than like Donnie Yen. But Donnie Yen's like a way higher guy. And by that I mean like he's a part of Hollywood films, and everyone should know Donnie Yen. If not, look him up too. AVGN the movie starts off with the Angry Video Game Nerd. He doesn't really have a name to go by, so we're going to just call him the Nerd. He makes video game reviews. People love it. And you kind of get into knowing him if you don't know him already. If you know him already, it's pretty much just like a thank you message to all the fans. A bunch of fans submit their videos and stuff, and they're talking about it, and they're asking him to review this new game. well, not new game, review this really, really old game called E.T. They all want to know when he's going to do it, is his biggest request. And of course, he doesn't want to do it. His friend Cooper, him and Cooper work at this place called Game Cops. It's a parody of you know what. And the nerd's boss is a complete lunatic. And kind of a dick, but he's really, really hilarious. I think the actor's name is like Eddie Pepitone. It's all just improv. They just told the guy, hey, go with it. And he had to reshoot it so many times because James Rolfe could not keep a straight face when this guy was going. The nerd, which I take it, pretty much quits his job. And upon quitting his job, he contacts his friend Cooper late at night. And I love the shot that you're looking at right now, where the light is kind of coming through the window and he's sitting on his computer. And it takes an homage to, like, if you ever got on the internet in the late 90s or early 2000s, depending on what your internet was. It's hilarious. So he talks to his friend Cooper outside. Some of the shots I wish had a little more lighting for a movie that is able to get, a movie that's able to get generators and lights outside. I wish there was a little more light there. You can tell by a lot of the night footage that some of it is really grainy. And what's hilarious about that whole scene is that basically the nerd goes inside this arcade and everyone's like, oh my god, it's the nerd. Hey, let me have your autograph. Oh, this is so cool. And what's really hilarious about that is I can relate to that so freaking well. Like, I've dreamed, and I'll probably always dream and never get the chance to ever meet James Rolfe, whether he's in character as the nerd or himself. And you're just freaking the hell out. It's still a great scene. So Mandy shows the nerd this new E.T. game that she's a part of. And speaking of which, she is kind of more like a double agent character. She starts off as going, yeah, we're going to sell a ton of copies. We're going to get this guy to review it. And, well, I like the shot where she gets thrown up on. I feel so sorry for the actors. You know, she was totally cool with it. Like, you got one take. Screw it up, you have to start all over next day, whatever. But they were able to get the shot they wanted, and it looks pretty damn cool. So they go on this road trip, great montage. And once they get to their destination, these Area 51 guys goes, hey, something's up. They're talking about E.T. That's kind of a problem. And so this guy named General Dark Onward, and he's a complete lunatic. Just like Eddie Pepitone's character, the nerd's old boss, or current boss. Does he still work there? So, General Dark Onward, I can't take that name seriously. But then again, you can't really take the general seriously either, so it's perfect. So, after he blows up his arm, there's a car chase in this little town full of people. Which, if you watch closely, you can see some of the green screen along the side. And to be fair, doing perfect green screen is really, really hard. Even in my movie I'm working on, there are some green screen flaws. It's rough. So kudos to the effects team was able to pull that off really, really well. I mean, unless you're looking for it, you can't even see that it's been green screened that much. Like, at all. Because it's that well done. If you know what to look for, you can see it, but if not, then just enjoy it, right, for how it is. And they go and they meet Dr. Warshaw? I think his name's Warshaw, yeah. So they meet Warshaw, and he is like a mental figure, I mean, not a mental figure, more like a teacher to the nerd, which is really cool. You get to see the nerd out of his habitat. After that, the nerd sees that his fans are going to this landfill down in Arizona. And so he, like on TV, after getting some advice from his new teacher, I like to call him, he goes down there, tries to stop his fans from going inside the landfill and doing something crazy and stupid, which they're kind of already doing when he got there anyways. And then the guy who made the game comes up, tells him like, hey, this is all true, this is what's going on. And nerd, don't lie. Be an honest man, because the truth is like... And so the nerd breaks in Area 51, and I'm just gonna kind of recap this, because I don't want to get too heavily into spoilers. He breaks in Area 51, he talks and gets caught by General Dark Onward, and they have a really intense conversation, and I love it. But the effects leading up to him breaking into it is really, really good. Like, the shot you're looking at now, that's cool. I love like the green digital effect and like the computer looking design behind it, like you're inside of a video game type of thing. That's cool. Now that I think about it, a lot of the shots in this movie and the effects are really, really good. The effects of him falling up and down this pit like in the ET game, beautiful. Like, I was amazed when I saw the trailer of how this shot looks, because it looks so damn good. Well, their name's Mandy and Butters. So they're fighting on top of like the mock Eiffel Tower in Vegas, and this Death Mothix, something like that. His name's really hard to pronounce. The giant cyber mutant death god, pretty much, that created also God and Satan. There's a lot of symbolism. Yeah, and in the foreshadowing, they kind of hit you on the head over it like a lot, which that's okay. But it's just not as surprising later on in the film as I'm talking about right now. Once we get to this part, there's some really cool cutaways to where Mandy is punching Butters in the stomach, and it cuts to Death Mothix punching the building in like the same way. I love cuts like that. If there's action cuts that go from two different points, that's cool. And seeing like this monster destroy Las Vegas is also really, really cool, because you never really see a monster film of a monster in Vegas. It's always like New York or Tokyo or whatever, not Vegas. So it's very nice to enjoy, and it all looks really great. So, to kind of like be done with the spoilers part of it, because I am really talking about the movie, we have a very beautiful shot of James Rolfe like turning and looking at all these cartridges come up from the dirt. It's one of my favorite shots in the movie, other than him being pulled up into this alien ship, which is a really cool trailer shot. And of course, at the end, he reviews the game. And there was a couple surprises at the end that you don't really expect. I think they were done as well as they could have been. And so he reviews the game. It's not super over the top. It's not over the top at all. Because if he did that, that would have been expected. So instead, when he reviews this ET game finally at the end, it is pretty much downplayed, and there's a lot of funny jokes in it. And I love how it goes over the credits as the credits are coming by. That is pretty dang cool, if I say so myself. Now, is Angry Video Game Nerd the movie worth watching? Is it worth taking a look at? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a very cool, low-budget independent film that, if you're not a fan of his work, then you can be a fan from it too. Yeah, the foreshadowing's intense. Yeah, you can see reflective boards or green boards in front of like actors' not cameras, the actors' glasses, like you can see in what's the shot of Mandy. You can see the reflective board in there because her fake glasses are so big on those little plastic lenses. Yeah, every B movie's gonna have noticeable flaws like that. Every movie I ever make, or web series, whatever make, there's gonna be flaws in it too. And that's what's the charm of it. This movie has great practical effects of like vans, Death Mothix, the jets, and then there's some digital effects that come help push those effects along, and they're very cheesy, but also very enjoyable to look at the same time. If you're already a fan, you've probably already seen the movie. If you haven't, because you were debating it and you can't decide and you weren't very happy with how it looked in the trailers, I say give it a watch anyways. You might like it more than you think. Or if you have watched it already, try rewatching it now if you didn't like it the first time. You might like it more the second time. It's definitely a movie that you want to watch with a group of people, because being with the group makes it more enjoyable. Now, I do have to give this movie 2 different ratings this time around, and here's my explanation why. The first rating is coming from a fan's perspective. I'm a big fan. I love the work. I love the guy who made it. I appreciate it. I understand the hard work that goes into making something like this. And so I am a little nostalgia blind. Like, quite a bit nostalgia blind. So my first rating, from being a fan and loving the guy and his work, is a B-. I'd watch it again any day. It's one of my favorite films, but I also have a connection to the character the work and everything else. Now, being someone who's never heard of the Angry Video Game Nerd, someone who's not on YouTube, and someone who also this is their first time getting into and watching the Angry Video Game Nerd, it may or may not hook you in, because this is a movie made for the fans, by the fans, and with the fans. So my second rating, if I was coming into it blind, would be a C-. So I have my first grade, B- from a fan's point of view, someone who loves the guy and his work, because I'm a little nostalgia blind, or maybe a lot. And then for someone who's coming in, it's sadly going to be a C- because I don't think it's going to appeal to many people outside. Like I said, grab some friends in it. If someone you know likes him, let this be an opportunity to jump in and love it, because you will enjoy a lot of it. I did forget to nitpick one scene, and I am sorry, James Rolfe, because I am going to hit you hard with this one. I really don't feel or believe that the scene with this guy getting married to this girl, and they're in Vegas, and there's this monster coming down, right, Death Mothix, down the road, and he goes, "No!" when they were going over their vows and getting married. She takes it literally and socks him in the face, and he has no idea what's going on after that. The joke just doesn't fit. It's funny when I look back on it, but my first time, second, and third time watching it, every time it drags. And when I watch it, I can't wait for it to be over every freaking time. I just don't like it. It doesn't fit, it goes on too long, and you already know the joke before before any words are spoken at all. You know what the joke is. You see it coming a mile away. And for me, that's what kills the joke. I don't think it should have made it into the final cut, just like a deleted scene would have been way better. But I get it, you pay for the effect of the monster coming down. You see this vision of it being really good, and I don't blame you, because it can be really good. I just think it didn't play out well. I think that's something that should have been left on the cutting room floor. But other than that, the movie is freaking amazing. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And there's not a whole lot of independent movies I do know yet, but I will get into a lot more of them, for sure. I just think that one thing could have been left out. Because it's near the end of the movie, you kind of just want to keep the pace going, and this kind of halts you in your progression, and you have to wait for this scene to be over. Yeah, it's still pretty short. I think it's like 30 or 40 seconds or something. But it kind of stops, and it's really unnecessary in my opinion. But hey, other than that, it's great. If there's any movies you guys want me to review next, let me know in the comments section below, or send me a message or something, and I will have to get around to taking a look at them. And if you haven't seen The Angry Video Game Nerd the movie yet, go give it a watch. It's awesome, and I love it for a lot of reasons. Again, it has to have the two ratings, but nothing more I can do about that. I think if I'm way too nostalgia blind, I think every movie I review has to have 2 ratings for that reason. So, with that being said, have a great day, guys, and don't forget to subscribe, because it does help a lot, and I'll see you next time.